flag is handed to Rafa Nadal. Tennis legend in amongst motor racing legends here at Le Mans.
So this lap is all about, you want to make sure that, the Mike Collis car's got a problem, so the Mike Collis...
The Le Mans 24 Hours for 2018 is about to get underway. The flag is waved and we are go! The two Toyotas lead away from the front of the grid. It is Andre Lotterer. He's trying to go round the outside. He's pushed onto the curb. He's cheeky, isn't he? But he goes wide immediately. It is the Toyotas 1 and 2 as they go into the chicane. And his nose is off. And the Dragon Speed car spins over one of the bollards. I think Lotterer's nose was damaged because he hit the back of the Toyota before he turned into the first corner.
You know, just an innocent victim, but the LMP2 battle now, they've got a slipstream from this rebellion. It's absolutely madness when you get down to the first chicane.
So that is the leading LMP2 car. That's Go raiding world champion in the World Endurance Championship with Ferrari. We're riding on board with one of the 4 GTs. This is the number 69 car. We're riding on board looking at Ryan Briscoe, should I say, side by side, opposite lock, running out of road for the yellow flashes on the Ford. He manages to get away with it, but only just. He's got the BMW trying to go around the outside. That's never going to work through the Arnage corner. Look at it. Ford, Ferrari, Corvette, BMW making their way up nose to tail towards the Porsche cars. Are we going to get 16 cars get to the end of this race? Not with current form. Something's TE Pro category nose to tail, and 3 abreast down the Mulsanne straight as the Rebellion rattles past to try and get through the Villova Corsa car that's been rebuilt. Oh, nearly running out of road. So
that's sort of maintained. Loic Duval has pegged him at about 7 seconds, but Duval in turn has now made a gap of about 7.5, 8 seconds to Nicolas Lapierre.
How close can a Corvette get as they come race today?
Yeah, but it's not about how many laps, it's whether you win or not, and I believe I won. Yes, I won. Yes.
Very good, Peter. Very good.
He's 13th at the moment and dropping now as Collado is left rear. That tyre, he's got to be careful. Hopefully, from his point of view, it actually just comes off completely and leaves.
Simulations, they've done drivers parade, which is a bit mania. There is Mike Wainwright. Yeah, he just clipped the barrier. You know, it's enough to lift the car up in the air, and that's not easy. And then stuffed the front as well.
In the car number 3 and gone back out, but they've got a bit of performance. And as the driver changes are now happening, it looks ID. Also, the radio unplugged, your drinks bottle unplugged, and prepare for a driver change.
Captain Kaiser on Twitter wanted to know why they don't just adjust the wing.
Because it's quicker to change the back.
That's what I said, but I wanted to hear it. The number 34 car, and this is the Porsche that remains second. This is the leader, rather. This is Lawrence Van Toor. And what I was saying a lap ago, the yawning gap first to second was 0.6. It's now down to 0.3.
Car 92, black and white flag for exceeding track limits. Car 92, black and white flag for exceeding track limits.
That's 3 out of the 4 Porsches have been told they're naughty boys.
And it's early days.
To Lopez, the gap to Alonso is going to be on the out lap, is going to be very important. And as we see that, remember Alonso had a pullback because there was a car ahead of him, so lost maybe about 1.5, 2 seconds. And so I would suspect that this car is going to actually come out in the lead, but in the lead.
Okay, uses the electric power now. The internal combustion engine kicks in, and so
it's all kicking off behind. Look at that. We've got LMP1s, LMP2, the Rebellion cars in there as well. And the Ford
trying to pick up a slipstream.
If motorsport looked like piranhas, that's what it would look like.
Yeah.
All over the top of each other, trying to get...
We're 3 hours into the race, and we're nearly now a lap ahead. The 2 leaders are now nearly a lap ahead. So that's what we're sort of looking at, is every 3 hours, they're just going to sneak up another lap on the privateers.
2 Porsches with the data.
But there's been a lot of benefit to sports car racing in general. And we see here Fernando is about to go past Jose Maria Lopez. Lopez backs completely out of it. So again, Toyota, I don't like using the word orchestra.
sorry, Hugh, it's a bit exciting. We'll come round to it in a moment. As Vantoor goes from second to first position, Harry flatters on the way down to Indianapolis. Look at this as they go through the quick right-hander. Peter Dumbreck has joined us now in the commentary box. Does it get any closer?
I just wonder whether the Ford can take advantage somehow.
The nose. It's only a light and everything. I mean, here's a replay of it going boom, off you go.
So you could see a little bit of smoke coming first.
Just before it.
There was a slight warning. He got a slight warning before it just let go.
But we're
That's the other Ginetta.
Look at the Ginetta, look at the closing speed. That's nearly a big
Contact.
He said tagged. Yeah.
And you see the bodywork ripped off the rear wing. He's a passenger all the way through there.
Just got a slightly too tight to that Porsche, didn't he?
Yeah, there he is.
Was that
Dominic,
a
very
Porsche
pleased you're
or
out.
was that the blue TF Sport Aston?
Was it? Oh.
Either way,
looked like a Porsche to me.
Either way, there was a gap that was not a safety car, and a slow zone is you don't have to maintain exactly 8. You can slow down and speed up a little bit, slow down and speed up again. I tell you what, since it's nice and quiet down there, Duncan Vincent offers us another sacrificial lamb. Ewan Baldry, the technical director at Ginetta. How does he think their race is going so far, bearing in mind, Duncan, it's a brand new unraced chassis?
I have Ewan.
Safety car C.
Yeah, there it goes there.
Yeah,
and there's the line now.
Now, what Eduardo Freitas has to do is coordinate all 3 safety cars to hit the white line at their stopping point at the same time, so he doesn't jeopardize anybody else's race. If the race is won or lost by a second and it happens, he doesn't want it to be his fault. Well, this is like lap 1. Everyone was behind that. Have to wait a lap for this to sort itself out. The Fords are swapping positions.
Hold on a second. Just look at the back. 67. Tinknell got through there, but Alonso. And Alonso's on the dirt. You don't want to be there, Fernando. I know you want to win the race, but you don't want to be in that part. Catch him up again.
Not for long.
Yeah, you see it there.
Right.
Right. Oh, got by the Porsche. Got back on
there. Got a very good run on Tinknell. Tinknell keeping well away from the curbs, but Hand used the momentum to drag up behind him, used the slipstream, and is now trying to have the same. Oh, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure, but that could actually. That's going to allow them all to... Oh,
Dixon's going to have a go now, isn't he? Dixie's got 2 wheels off the track, you can see.
I love
there,
this.
He's in that bit, which is the puncture zone, really. But the BMW... Oh, wow.
Right, can I just ask you a question? What did you say there about the Ford guys not pushing themselves out?
That BMW he's got 1 Ford, he's got the second Ford into the braking zone. That is brilliant opportunism from Antonio Felix da Costa.
All came about because Harry literally got it crossed up coming out, and then
leaves or twigs or anything in the front end. Back on board with Pile. Great racing. Flat out.
And there's the SMP car behind. I mean, Lena, what do you make of them? Because they're running 3rd at the moment. It's a really good race, isn't it? They're only 1 lap behind Toyota on a, you know, you're talking about a privateer team when they're first.
Sharing with Giovinazzi and Pipo Derani. There they are, 7th, 8th and 9th position in class as they come towards the end of another lap for those guys, and for them it's lap number 85. That then, as we ride on board with the number 7 Toyota, Kamui Kobayashi, he is just 0.4 of a second behind the leader of this race in the number 8, the sister car.
Yeah, actually, one of the most annoying things when the sun goes down are those bugs on the windscreen. We are in the forest, you know, there's a lot of countryside as you're going around the back, and you can see here, look there, when the sun's coming through. And I remember from last year when you had all that rubbish on the windscreen, they have got tear-offs and they can't clean it at the pit stops and stuff. But it is very, very difficult at that point to really be able to see clearly.
One of the things I remember commentating with Alan Winnish last year, we talked about this and he said, oh yes, but on the run down to Mulsanne, you
Run on this, the 67 car.
So Finland versus Guernsey, and they stopped on the same lap. Andy Priaulx with a run down the outside. You're absolutely right. That was that exit onto Tertre Rouge, and that's where he dropped a wheel off in qualifying and had a big shunt. This time was much cleaner. So
that's the line I was talking about.
In fact, she's been in for a couple of hours now. That's Paul Dallalana's shunt, and he just went straight off. Now, did he drop a wheel off and it just you know, at the speed of turning in.
It would spin, though. You know, to go straight like that, that's unusual. That, as you said, that's maybe something a bit more, maybe brake failure or,
Think of the Ferrari that went off in qualifying there. He had that big... He's caught him about 5 seconds in the last 4 or 5 laps because he went behind the Ford on the last lap and finished third instead of first. So, you know, fate is a cruel mistress.
Sorry to say, I think now we've got Andy Prier right on the back of Ryan Briscoe, because Briscoe started to defend going down into Mulsanne. We were looking at the forward-facing camera, but was completely on the inside.
1 second ahead of Antonio Garcia, the battle for 5th, with the Ford ahead of the Corvette. Corvette now in their 6th year with the C7R. So it's a very well-known, developed and rehearsed car. Alan made the point earlier on in the race that the one thing they don't have in common with their regular World Endurance Championship rivals is use of this European spec Michelin tyre throughout the season. So every year they come here, they have to get used to it. Look at the lights on the Ferrari there of Tony Vilander. We talked about this in qualifying. So Will Stevens stays in. That will be, I think, at least a triple stint he's embarking on. Jenson Button, he was chatting earlier on about his car's problems. They had a sensor issue in qualifying. They had a sensor, or the engine wasn't running properly right from the beginning of the race. And it turns out they had another DUF sensor, but it wasn't the same one. He said it's going to be a very long race for the team, and especially for the drivers. Now, however, you know, he's here to learn about Le Mans and learn about sports car racing. He's learning, this, you know, the school of hard knocks, but he's got to get the mileage in, like the team have, like Aston Martin, like all the new LMP1 cars.
And the thing is, getting to the end of the race is better than not getting to the end of the race. So we're getting information about the number 98 car, and it looks like it's stopped at the side of the track, so it might be out, and you might have to get that marker.
Louise was saying that it hasn't reached the team, and in fact hasn't got back to the dead car park, and clearly Paul Dall'Anna was either too shaken up to talk to them or didn't have the time to talk to them before he needed to get out of the car for it to be cranked.
To sort of alter your view a little bit, but because you only come here once a year, it's kind of like a new circuit in a way each time. It is a bit of a living creature in that respect.
Absolutely. Driver change for our GTE Pro leader, Michael Christensen out, and Lawrence Vantour in.
It wasn't long ago Lawrence was actually in the car, I don't think.
I think Christensen's done at least a double, maybe even a triple.
I don't think he's done a triple. I've only done 8 stints.
Vantour abandoning his previous
right front as well.
And the rear left.
The rear left, sorry. Yeah,
and the
puncture on the right.
And on the rear. I think all the tyres are punctured from the spin. I think when he's spun on that high abrasive surface, all the tyres are punctured.
Yeah, but there's a tread thrown on that left. I wonder if that happened to make him have the accident.
No, that happened with it. I would suggest that was probably. If you look at this
steam and stuff coming out.
I think Alan's right. It was on the spin.
Fire. Gearbox. That's to do with moving. Oh, yoy. So that's the, you know, out.
Sebastian Philippe
Clutch,
there was
and
running
it's all
the team.
going wrong, and it's all going wrong, and that thing really is out of this race now.
That could be a safety car. Yeah. Certainly it's going to be a slow zone, but that could also be safety car because of where it is.
Yeah, I'd like to see an extinguisher.
Remember, we saw the SMP car having a new rear end fitted with a rear wing, and it was blue and yellow, and I was going, I know that colour scheme, and I can't think where it comes from. It is High Class Racing's rear end from their ELMS livery. In fact, the whole car is High Class Racing's ELMS car, but that spare rear wing clearly hadn't been wrapped in the SMP colours. So thank you to Sanderot. Tom's go. And so that's exactly what the teams do. Things that you wouldn't bring the car in for, if it's forced in, get them done. Fernando Alonso takes over the number 8 car in 2nd place from Sebastian Buemi. 3rd place car is on the pit road as well. That's Matthias Besch in the number 3 Rebellion. And so too is Roman Rusinov, has just taken over the G-Drive car now.
United Autosport have done well, haven't they? Snuck up into the 6th place, so they were sort of 10th, 11th when I went away. So that's been some decent.
Okay, 14 to go. Gap is 2:22. 2:22. The pace of the others is 52.5. 52.5. Please can you acknowledge me on radio when I send you messages? Yes, copy.
You have it. Got off the corner very, very well there in comparison to Kobayashi. Got the power down, good acceleration.
So Alonso was up against Lopez before we saw.
And here's why.
Porsche.
He's going to have a moment. In he goes. It was just enough to push that bodywork into the rear tyre. And
he's lost it very early in the right-hander of Porsche. He hasn't got to the second kink. It's like he's been offline on the right, Karun.
I'm wondering if he's dropped a wheel into the grass. You know what I mean? When he's brought the car back.
Yeah, but there's a lot of damage also on the left-hand side. There's a lot of rubber marks on the left-hand side. How did that get there? Look at all that rubber marks in front of the guy.
He's hit the barrier, I think, on the left-hand side and then bounced across the track to the right, possibly.
Oh!
The BMW.
Right puncture. It's flapping away. And then some. I can hear the under tray completely destroyed. Alexander Sims.
And the rear wing looks a little bit distorted as well.
Yes.
He's had a...
Has he had an off?
I wonder if he's had an off, yeah.
He hasn't had a coming together with that 47 car, has he? Doubt it. Look, is that front wheel there?
No, it's oversteer. Do you not think he was just catching the oversteer?
Possibly, but he was. Then that means his hand movements must have been so fast.
Yeah, but he was on the marbles, and I wonder if...
It's fair to say more than taking up his end of the slack in that number 8 car. He's ready to go back out.
And the mechanics, and even some of the management seem to be getting involved in this whole process. So yeah.
That's a very Japanese thing, isn't it? Having the management doing all of that, you know, morning calisthenics and so on. I have to say, I'm A, not flexible enough, and B, far too tired to be doing any of that nonsense in the morning. But you're absolutely right. You know, we saw earlier on Ugo de Sadelaire juggling, and somebody tweeted in going, how bored are the drivers in this race that he's sitting there juggling? No, he's not. He's getting his mind into a little bit of a state of acuity. He's getting ready to get into the car. And, you know, juggling, taking your mind out of sleep mode and into being awake mode.
So the cameraman's having a go at the same thing. That's brilliant.
Okay, yeah.
Like that, and the other cameraman's having a go as well. He's having...
Fernando car is good. You need to keep pushing to keep the tire at this temperature, especially the front. No, nothing special. Just do the job, it's fine. The car is good. Okay, copy.
Over. Fuel goes in, door pops open, out gets Neil Jarni, and in will get Fernando Alonso, his own little seat insert. And that's not just because he's Diddy, because they're all sort of Diddy. Well, while that goes on, Duncan is down at Aston Martin. What's the story with the 97 car?
Well, the 97 car's up on the jacks right now. Jonathan Adams sits in a toolbox and watches what goes on. Paul, can you tell us exactly what you think the problem is, and is it fixable?
Well, is it fixable? I know when we find out what the problem is, we seem to have lost some oil pressure at some point after the safety car come out.
It's like so. We now go green. The safety cars pull off. They are racing again. The slow zone is between Les Unes d'Hier down to the first chicane. So the beginning of that back straight, as you can see. Now the chaos starts, doesn't it, Karun?
Yeah, the Ginetta going aggressively with and fourth in the GTE Pro race, absolutely nose to tail.
There is Harry Tinknell. He's third from the back, fourth from the back now, behind the weaving Aston Martin, the number 90 TF Sport car. We're on board with number 68. This is Dirk Muller. He's in third position. Sunshine behind him. There goes one of the LMP2 cars rattling through and into Indianapolis.
LMP1, Jean-Eric Verne, our race leader in LMP2. Laurens Vanthoor leads. Great move by Prio, and again we saw that around the outside a couple of times. The rotor rear engine traction, firing it off the corner, but Prio has got longer legs in the Ford. He's leaning on him through the kink. The run down to Indianapolis. Essentially the Porsche sort of on the racing line. They've got to avoid that side draft dragging them together, because that hands it all to Bourdais. Prio's still there.
Bourdais got the biggest slipstream in the world here. Look at this.
He's got top gear, top end speed there, and the inside line into an Indianapolis, and in the end Fred Mackel had to breathe off the throttle.
Bourdais' crankshaft will be bending on the over rev because he's got such a draft up into Indianapolis. Great racing, 1, 2, 3 as they come over the top.
Thank you, Louise. And Jean-Eric Verne right now, as you see the number 7 Toyota making a mistake that he just
3 or 4 times
until he gets a penalty.
Yeah,
he's trying to break the toe.
It's called the regulations.
Yeah, and Bourdais has got the speed, but Mako is moving from lane to lane.
I would say in this, if I was in the Ford, I'd be radioing talking about it to ensure that the race...
That's our friend Eve. The police there with a speed gun. Now that's quite interesting. Can't actually drop onto the dirt.
Yeah, just gone in too quick.
Yeah. He dropped a wheel on the dirt on the exit, running down through the S's, almost like Andy Prio did at Tertre Rouge, and got away with it. And he is really pushing very hard indeed, because Leary tells us had clutch issues from a podium spot in LMP2, and that's a Ligier. The chassis is not the problem. That sounds like a valid point. 749.43
kilometers behind the leader.
Ah, right. I was
kilometers behind the leader.
I was thinking calories that we need to take on before lunch.
No, and here is Lopez in the pits in the 7.
700 kilometers. He will still be classified as a finisher, however, if he continues to lose as little ground to the leader as he is doing now.
Yes, the percentage rule.
At half distance, he was just a fraction over, 75% behind. But that's been neared by Hugues de Schoenack, because Orica ran the Mazda speed cars for many years at Le Mans, and it was with Hugues de Schoenack's Orica team that Mazda have become so far the only Japanese manufacturer to win the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And 27 years later now, it looks as though a second manufacturer from Japan may well be on the way to do it. But again, as the last 2 years have taught us, we wait until after the checkered flag to second guess the finish of this race. Great view on board in the Senior Tech car with Brazil's Andre Negrão. Blue flags waving. He's passed the slower car, so those are withdrawn as the marshals see that happen. Down into Mulsanne corner. This used to be basically the number 7 car.
No
so
driver
the fuel
change.
Goes in.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. It is a driver change. Nakajima getting in.
Okay, so they're doing tyres, but the tyres are going on before they do brakes, so they are not doing brakes. They're adjusting something in the cockpit. Oh, the engineer leads in to do up the belts for Kazuki Nakajima. Number 7 is on its way down to Indianapolis and Arnage, as you can see on the GPS tracker.
Still this guy doing a lot of work.
Yeah. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now that's a penalty. Reversing it.
But you can't do it here.
No, you can't. Even in IMSA now, they've changed in the regulations. It's safety with the number of people that are actually in the pit lane itself. And this regulation's been positioned in Le Mans for many, many years, because it's obviously one of the most focal points of the season, and there's more camera crews than anything else at this place.
Yeah, particularly around the number 8 car, given the presence of Fernando Alonso. Well, Duncan is right there on the pit wall, and Fernando is...
The inside line going down towards the second chicane. 80 kilometers per hour, first gear.
50 miles an hour. He is going very slowly. Hour and 38 minutes to go.
And it's only just happened because his first than someone else.
Kazuki, just to give you a heads up, car 7 is slow after turn 14. Car 7 slow after turn 14. Things to be worried about on your side, just forgot to put the fuel in the car.
And now And now it's got going again. Now it's come back to life. It's recuperated itself. It's alive.
He has been flicking through pages on the screen at a million miles an hour, has he?
He just said he forgot to put fuel in the car.
Was there a sign at pit exit that said track humide?
Yes, but it's been there all the time.
Right, okay. You'd think they'd have something other than a bloke who has to stand there with the board. You'd think it was like on a stick. Oh, goodness. High drama there for a moment for the Toyota team, and I wonder if that's the end of it.
Les here, this car gets to the finish. That's what you told me. What's up this time, buddy?
We just want to wash it, give it a good clean, make sure it's presentable. No suspect issue with the alternator at the moment, so we're just, before we take it to pieces, we're just going to have a look through the data and check and see if it's a switching on and off of the alternator that's the problem, or it's actually the alternator itself.
Thanks, buddy.
Well, Duncan, sorry to interrupt. We got the number 90 Aston Martin, the TF Sports car to go. Let's have a quick review. It is the number 8 Toyota that leads by a lap. The number 7 Toyota didn't come into the pits. It had to sort of limp around last lap, and therefore it's a lap down. The Rebellion number 3 is 10 laps back. And the Rebellion number 1 is 4th overall. In LMP2, it's G-Drive from Signatech Alpine from the Graf car that we saw a moment ago with the black nose. TDS are 4th, United Autosports are 5th, Jackie Chan Racing are 6th. In GTE Pro, it's the 2 Porsches, 1st and 2nd. Oh, that's Jenson Button. Jenson Button's on the side of the road with the SMP BR1. And there's quite a bit of smoke coming out of the back of that. The 38-year-old, the 2009 Formula One World Champion, is stopped on the way down to
What a shame.
It's just before.
Game over, guys. Game over. The engine gone.
Home. Here we go. Listen in.
What a shame. What a shame. But a lot learned, I think, over the last 24 hours, guys. Bloody good job by everyone. And yeah, just a shame it's come to an end like this.
Information to the pit lane. Stewart's decision number 64 gives a 10-second stop-and-go penalty on car number 7 for exceeding the amount of allowed fuel.
Need a splash a dash, as they say here in France. Or rather, they don't. I wonder what the French for splash and dash is. It's probably splash and dash. Probably doesn't translate even remotely into French. Just with a torch there, checking to make sure there's no sign of obvious cracks or fatigue in the brake discs.
It's just checking everything.
Yeah.
Not that they're expecting anything.
So that would say to me Nakajima's going to bring this home with 27 minutes to go.
And keeps coming back, and the number of times that Toyota's been DC Racing, Hope in Ton. All Le Mans winners, and Al, you might corroborate this. Here's strange. It's a follow my leader, and Toyota win at Le Mans, a 1-2 after 2 decades and more of heartbreak. Finally.
Congratulations, Toyota, because you've tried so hard. Now you've won.
Flag. Dempsey Proton win in GTE AM. Christian Reed joined by Porsche Junior driver rookies Matt Campbell and Julian Andlauer, and there Peugeot won. Also there, David Brabham, who we had in the booth on Friday, Saturday, and Alexander Wurz, who's here celebrating with Toyota. And the GTE Pro class win goes to the number 92 Porsche. Michael Christensen, Kevin Estre, and Lawrence Van Toor, the Pink Pig triumph.
Thank you for the team. Thanks for being part of it.
Kazuki Nakajima.
You are the man. Man of the race. Thanks for hard work. Thank you.
Kazuki.